Well, hello everybody. Thank you for being here. This is Rector, MAPS leadership and recruiting coach. How are you? I appreciate you being on the webinar today. I want to share with you. It's going to be about a half an hour, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts, some strategies, the key components, to recruiting mastery. And I want to go through some of those thoughts and points. A couple things I wanted to also share with you is family reunion obviously is right around the corner here on Saturday at 3:30. If you can make it, I am doing a breakout session. It's going to be a pretty large session on the needs analysis and recruiting presentation. So that's going to be this Saturday, obviously at family reunion at 3:30. So that's in the agenda. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll go through some of the things I wanted to share with you today. So first of all, I wanted to let you also know that I do the program called Rockstar Recruiting that I'm sure many of you have heard of. Many of you may have been involved in it in the past. We've been doing it for about 10 years, and we have a lot of great new material that we've incorporated into this next session that starts on March 12th. So if you'd like to be included in that, just send me an email and we'll get you set up, or come by the MAPS booth while you're at family reunion and we'll get you plugged into that. That program is a 6-month program. We do 2 calls a month, 2 one-hour calls a month, where we take you through the whole recruiting process from A to Z and how to master, the recruiting. What's also included in the program is I do 2 one-hour lead generation sessions through webcam, where not only team leaders but other members of your recruiting team, productivity coaches, we have MCAs, can all log in and make phone calls, and I work with them on the telephones to help them and you increase your appointment setting ratios. So that's also included in the program. It's a real popular program. We generally put about 200 team leaders and leadership team members through the program a year, so it's pretty powerful. Also included are scripts and videos and all the different materials. So let's jump into what I wanted to share with you today. The recruiting system. So all great recruiters have a system, right? They all have a system, and what makes some recruiters great and what makes some recruiters good is their level of mastery around the system. So if you would just rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in these, 10 being best in these different categories as we talk about them, and so that you can see where your opportunity is for growth as you move through 2020 here. So number 1, all great recruiters have developed a predictable recruiting plan. Okay, recruiting plan and system. All right, that's predictable and strategic. So what does that mean? That means that not only do they have a 1-3-5 and do 4-1-1s, but they have a strategic recruiting plan so that they know where the sources of their recruits are going to come from. They know where they have come from in the past. They have targets of who they're targeting, like maybe some indies, mega agents, maybe it's cappers, right? New agents, so they have those broken out, and they know what the pros and cons are and the profile of those people, and so they can tailor the strategies and approaches that they use for those specific groups, right? They also track and monitor their numbers. So they know, again, what their ratios are. That's really important because recruiting is predictable. It's duplicatable and predictable, meaning that we know how many hours it takes to get an appointment set, right? We know how many appointments it takes to get somebody to join or a hire, right? We know those things, So, and we know how many contacts it takes to get an appointment and how many contacts per hour you can make, and we have all that data. So really it's a matter of just plugging yourself into those metrics, and you can create a duplicatable, predictable outcome. And then obviously as you monitor your numbers, then and we improve your skills, then those ratios will change for you individually. So recruiting is again very predictable and duplicatable. So all great recruiters understand that, track their numbers, and have a specific recruiting plan to hit their goals. Number two, so on a scale of 1 to 10, number two, rate yourself your level of mastery around determining what your most effective recruiting strategies are. What are your sources, right? And have you mastered those? And do you know, again, what sources are effective for the different groups you're going after? Do you know how to go after indies? Do you know how to go after mega agents, or maybe a mega agent office, or a mega agent that would join your office? Cappers, are you comfortable with what to say, what to send, what the approach needs to be, the mindset around these experienced agents? Number three, mastering, right? Really what to say, right? Mastering the tools that we have, and also what to say, the scripts, the language of real estate. So with market share agents, we know that they fear change. They don't want to move. They're happy where they're at. We know that. So is our approach in setting appointments geared towards setting up business consultations and coming from contribution to give them information, give them strategies, tactics to help them at their business, giving them a tech analysis, right? Tech audit. Is it coming from contribution, or are we talking about, hey, let's get together so I can share with you why you need to be at Keller Williams, so I can share with you all the things that we have at KW, right? Because if their mindset is, I don't want to move, I'm happy where I'm at, and I fear change, they're probably not going to be real receptive to that second approach, right? So have you mastered what to say? Because recruiting, guys, is like a baseball game. And what does that mean? That means that in our baseball game, we have to get around the bases to score runs to win the game. Very rarely do we hit a home run. It's about getting base hits and scoring runs. So getting out of the batter's box to get to first base in the baseball game is critical, and that is setting the appointment. If we don't have an appointment, we don't have base runners. If we don't have base runners, right, we can't score runs and we can't win. So going from first to second after you've been able to set an appointment to get somebody to come in is doing a needs analysis, right? So taking them through the self-discovery conversation of where they're at, where they want to be, what the gaps are in the business, right? And recognizing that they don't have the solutions to achieve the goals, the level of success they want to achieve. So that's going from first to second. Going from second to third in our baseball game in this recruiting process is the 10-step recruiting presentation. The 10-step recruiting presentation. So what's the 10-step recruiting presentation? This is where you follow a specific question-based presentation where you explain a benefit, you provide evidence, you ask them if they see value, you ask them how they would use the benefit in their business, and then you have them quantify the benefit. How many additional transactions could you add to your business with this benefit? And now you're getting them to sell themselves on the value of your tools and benefits and resources, right, that you're presenting. So what's your level of mastery around that? So number 4, right? Setting appointments with business consultations. That's getting to first base. Determining your value propositions without overselling them. Number 5, that's going again from first to second, and then second to third with the 10-step presentation. And then going from third to home in our recruiting baseball game is handling the objections, closing. So what's your level of mastery in doing that? Have you mastered that? Right? Closing is a natural end to a great presentation. So what is the presentation? It's the needs analysis, the setup, and it's the 10-step presentation that we just touched on. So have you mastered that? We're going to talk about that on Saturday at Family Reunion at that breakout session at 3:30 I mentioned earlier. So scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of mastery, again, around these components? Number 7, scheduling recruiting, right? Scheduling recruiting, schedule management. A lot of you have great color-coded schedules with time blocks of when you're doing your lead generation, 2 hours a day or whatever, right? The question is how effective is it? How accountable are you to that? Because without that lead generation, whether it's warm or cold, doesn't really matter, right? We're going to talk about how to make it all warm, but the point is that if without the lead generation and lead follow-up, right, we're not going to score runs in our baseball game. Okay, so being accountable to your time, leveraging your staff to help you buffer your time. What's your level of mastery around hitting your time blocks in your schedule? Next, number 8, creating a simple lead follow-up program. Simple lead follow-up. 70%, 70% of your hires join you during the lead follow-up phase. What's your system? What are you sending? What are you saying? How often? Right? I was just on a call right before this with one of my clients, and she's struggling to get her lead follow-up in. She's getting her lead generation in, but she's not getting her lead follow-up. And that's very common. We're so focused on filling the pipeline, which we need to do with new appointments. But yet, if we're not following up with all these people that we've met with, we're missing 70% of the results or the hires, right? So we're getting all the way to the, to the 5-yard line, and then we're starting the drive over again instead of finishing. That's what happens if you don't have a good lead follow-up system. Number 9 is developing an agent transition plan and system along with an orientation system. So the second that they say yes, they're going to join you, that's when the real work starts, right? That's when we have to coach them out of their exit interview, coach them out of their brokerage, help them with what to say, simulate that experience that they're going to go through when that broker rolls out the red carpet. We need to help them with that. How are we doing with getting their stuff ordered and onboarding, and if they're going to wait for a couple weeks because they have to close out that deal and we can't get them over ahead of time? So are we letting them know that the onboarding process is started, that let's get together and formulate your plan, your business card showed up, your signs are here, sending them a picture of those, keeping them engaged? How are you doing that, right, at the 11th hour when they've given you the green light and now buyer's remorse is going to start setting in? And the second that broker finds out, that full court press happens, and we need to have those people prepared, right, and transitioned over. How have you mastered how to do that on a scale of 1 to 10? Or are you losing people right at the very end? And then also orientation system. Are they having a wow experience? A concierge wow experience? Okay, because one of the worst things that can happen is you get this great capper to join you and we blow the transition, right? And we mess up that transition, and now all of a sudden that person leaves and goes back to their old brokerage. What does that do for us and the future of us recruiting other people from that company, right? So that can do a lot of damage if you haven't mastered your orientation system. And then lastly, number 10, leverage your hires. Leverage your hires for referrals and multiple hires. That's, again, sliding into home in our baseball game. Leveraging those hires. Can you turn, or are you turning one market share hire into 3? What's your level of mastery of that? There's a 12-point plan that I'm going to teach you and go through in the program, where we're going to go through all the things that you can do to turn one hire into 3. That makes your life a lot easier, doesn't it? Right? When you're able to, to hire 5 market share agents and turn that into 15 hires, it makes life a lot easier. Well, there's a way to do that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, have you mastered that? What's that system look like? It's just like a real estate agent that takes a great listing. So awesome. So they have potentially a commission in the bag. But the smart listing agents leverage that listing, don't they? And they turn that into multiple transactions. They're sending out just listed, just sold. They're door knocking the neighborhood. They're hosting open houses. They're inviting the neighbors, right? Their social media. They're sending that to their sphere and their past clients. They're getting leads, referrals, sign calls from one listing and turning that into multiple commissions. That's what leveraging the hire is in our world. So what's your level of mastery with that? So you rated yourself 1 to 10 on those previous, strategies, right? So what is your again, your score on a scale of 1 to 10? Right? Is there some opportunity there for you? If there is, right, let's find out how to get you that support. Okay? Recruiting sources. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 here as well. Okay, here's some of the recruiting sources. Phone calling. We talked earlier about that. Whether it's warm or cold calls. What's your level of mastery around getting appointments? Number 2, agent referrals. How are you doing getting agent referrals? Is there opportunity for growth there? Right? Are you getting the amount of referrals that you need? You have a plan to get the amount of referrals that you need for the number of hires that you need this year. That's an interesting concept, right? If our goal is to recruit, 50 people, and I'm at a 5-to-1 close ratio, I need 250 referrals if I want all those hires to come from warm leads, from referrals, right? And if we had 250 referrals that we need at a 5-to-1 close ratio to hit our number over a 12-month period, that'd be 20 referrals a month or 5 a week. Could you create a system to get 5 referrals a week and make your life easier where you don't even have to make cold calls? Interesting thought, isn't it? Recruiting events, number 3. How well are you doing at that? Educational events, social events. Are you having stuff every month that outside capping agents would want to come to? We're going to talk about that. The way to test that is find out if your own cappers are coming to the events that you're doing, the educational events, the social events. Think about how to do that and how to create that. Put together a committee, maybe with your ALC, so that you have great, powerful events. That's how you're going to create leverage in the process of recruiting, or you're going to get ALC members and agents to invite, people to these events. You have them consistently and they're powerful, right? Are you hosting masterminds? Are you bringing in speakers? What are panels? What are you doing there? Because there's a great opportunity. Co-broke transactions, the agent on the other end of the deal. Some of you are doing so many transactions every month that you never have to call anybody but those people, right? I have a client that they're closing almost 300 transactions a month. If they just spent their time connecting with those 300 people every month, wow, they wouldn't have to make a cold call. So look at what your co-broke system is. Who's helping you? Have you mobilized a growth committee, right? Where they could call those people and say, hey, I'm on the agent relations committee here with the office, and we just wanted to personally thank you for the transaction you had with our market center this year. As a special thank you, I'd like to invite you to the, top agent panel and mastermind that we're hosting next Wednesday at 2:00. Would you like to be our guest? Okay, so creating some leverage for yourself, right? Broker tours, open houses, number 5. What's your level of mastery around that? Are you getting out and seeing the people? Are you getting out and seeing the people? Number 6, leveraging the hires. We talked about that, right? How are you turning one hire into multiple hires? Do you have a system around that? Do you have tactics and a strategy around that? Number 7, social media. How are you doing with that? Right? Do you just have a Facebook page? Or are you, using video? Are you using texting? Are you private Facebooking messaging people? Right? Do you have a great recruiting website? What's that look like from a social media standpoint? Are you leveraging all the great videos that we have, right, at KWRI, especially all the technology videos? How are you, and creating your own videos? How are you connecting with the community through social media? Number 8, scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of mastery around marketing? Drip campaigns, right? Are you sending out marketing materials like an agent would, right, with the 36 touch? Are you doing anything like that, right? Testimonials, are you marketing the success stories that agents are having in your company? Are you marketing the hires, people that are joining you every month, every quarter, year to date? Are you marketing your language of real estate numbers, the categories that you're excelling at that month? And are you inviting people to events? I mean, that's your marketing campaign, right? Testimonials every month, one testimonial, the hires that joined you this month, a picture of all of them. Here's how you're outperforming the local market with 1 or 2 lower categories, and you're invited to an event. Here's an invitation. There's your 36 touch. What's your level of mastery around that? We're going to go through that in detail in the program. And then number 9, new agents, right? If you're targeting new agents, do you leverage licensing schools? Do you have your own licensing school? Or you're a partner with a licensing school? Can you speak at a school? In some states, you can get a state licensee list, like California and Florida. Are you calling those lists? Do you have somebody that's calling those lists? Career seminars, right? Are you doing those, right? And then number 10, an important one, leverage your recruiting team. We're going to talk about that. I think that you all have recognized at this point that the top people in our company that are killing it with numbers, recruits, gross recruits every month, have leverage. They have a team. They have people that are helping them. It's just like you're running an MREA mega agent team, right? Is your front desk, handling the new agents? Is your MCA making some of these, co-broke calls? Is your ALC? You have a growth committee, productivity coach, assistant team leader. Heck, now we're getting great results out of ISAs, especially the cyber recruiter program. Do you have leverage, somebody helping you with all aspects of recruiting, right? So that you can focus on getting your appointments with market share agents, doing lead follow-up with the agents, and getting in the numbers that you need to get in, right? With all the other things going on in the market center. So what's your leveraging team look like? One of the great things about the Rockstar Recruiting program that's starting next month is that all your people can participate for one registration. Your whole recruiting team, including your growth committee or TLC members, can participate on the calls. They can also show up to the webcam prospecting live every week if they want to make calls for their profit tree or obviously set recruiting appointments. So leverage all that stuff. And then lastly, number 11, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of mastery around our new initiatives? Mega Agent Office, the Indy, Referral Network, Keller Mortgage. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more. Keller covered, right? I'm sure we're going to have a few more here this weekend at Family Reunion, some new initiatives. These are just a few of them. So we're going to go through that and discuss those in the program. So again, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's that level of mastery? So a couple questions I wanted to ask you. What's your growth plan? What's your growth plan? So have you reached your potential as a team leader, right? Or as a recruiter, depending on what your role is that's on the webinar here. What's possible for you this year? Right? And again, do you have a growth plan? Because if you're the key asset to your business, you need to invest in yourself to elevate your skills, to learn the strategies so that you can hit your goals, right? Invest the time to role play, to practice, to elevate your skills. Invest the money to attend some of the events that you know the company has to help you become a better recruiter. The event, the program that I'm, hosting next month on the 12th is the Rockstar Recruiting Program, right? And it's 2 calls a month, as I mentioned, 2 1-hour calls a month, and weekly live 1-hour webcam prospecting sessions. It's all inclusive, meaning your whole leadership team can participate for 1 registration, and it's a 6-month program, $199 a month. If you have questions, right, or need more information on that, you can go to the MAPS coaching website and go to group coaching. You can look for Rockstar Recruiting and you can register to save your spot for the March 12th session. You can email me and I'll send you the link, right? Shoot me a text, same thing. We'll be at the MAPS booth, obviously, and can get you enrolled. So if you have, any questions about it, just let me know, but would love to save you a seat in that program. We limit it. Again, there's about 200 leadership team leaders primarily that go through that program a year. So if you have not gone through it, we also have many people that have taken it 3 and 4 times, especially for the webcam prospecting to keep them lead generating and refining their skills. So there's multiple ways that you can leverage this program. Take advantage of it. If you have any questions, I'll open it up quickly for questions if I can. Otherwise, shoot me a text or an email. And I really appreciate all your participation today and being on this webinar. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Family Reunion. Let's see if I can open it up. Does anybody have any questions? Not sure if I unmuted the line or not. Any questions at all? You can also raise your hand. Okay. So thank you again for being here. If you need something, let me know. I'll look forward to seeing you hopefully at the breakout session on Saturday at 3:30. And I will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Safe travels. Bye-bye.